Hello everyone, this is DevGAMM Fall 2021. My name is Yaroslav. Today I represent an agency called mrktng4, where we help games like this, Jupiter Moons, to find success with the tools of community and influencer marketing. But mostly today I'll be speaking based on my experience of working as a freelance marketer and a partner of Goblins Publishing, which is an indie publisher that specializes on turn-based strategy games, deck builders, and card battles. Okay, so today we're taking a look at Jupiter Moon's Mecha. And first of all, let's take a look at the trailer. Okay, it's a really interesting project, and I wanted to take a look at it and share my experience to help the developers to find success. Okay, um, Jupiter Moon's Mecha is a card-based, hardcore indie project with elements of roguelike, strategy, RPG, and it is a single-player only game. The developer's target platform is PC, mainly Steam, and the game is at the stage of MVP at the moment. The developer described their game as follows. Create your mech, customize your loadout, and build your perfect deck. Enjoy the tactical combat in this roguelike adventure. Great. Okay. Let's see. I have quite a lot of things to tell about the project. But first of all, what immediately jumps right at you is the visual style. Of course, it's very easily recognizable, and it's a good thing for a game like this. Also, I want to say that this game has really exemplary marketing package, and to show you what I mean, let me for a second switch to my screen here. This is a presentation that the developers provided to everyone who know how to find their website. And here you see everything you want to know about the game. It's really cool. Moreover, they have a website, Jupiter Moon's Mecha, and it is quite small. It's just a one-pager, but here you can see everything you want to have on a website like this. All the links, link to the press kit, screenshots, a way to find the game on Steam. So great stuff. And let's take a look at the Steam page of Jupiter Moons. Here you can see it. I don't have much to tell about it because it's mostly perfect. I see all the tags are in place. The description is brief and it's easy to imagine what the game will be like by scrolling through the screenshots. It has just two videos at the beginning, and the screenshots are quite different, which is a good sign. It means that the game is quite variable and it is nice. You can download a demo to play it for yourself. Here we can see in the About This Game section a few GIFs, and they're also nice. The key features are brief and descriptive. It's a nice thing. And probably the only bad thing I want to point out is the More Like This section. You can see here games like Slay the Spire, Monster Train, and it's nice in terms of the genres. They're quite similar, but the bad thing is that these games, they are fantasy, whereas Jupiter Moons is a sci-fi game. And what you want to have on a Steam page is more games like Griftlands and Deep Sky the Relics. Why? Because these are also sci-fi games, and you must know that people who play sci-fi, they usually don't play fantasy, and vice versa. One popular project that I see here missing is Star Renegades, and you can also use this game page as a reference. It is published by Raw Fury. They have nice tags as well, and you can find several more good references in the More Like This section. So they try to show more sci-fi games at the beginning, so maybe you need to try to reconfigure some of the tags to make it more suitable. But it's a very minor thing that I wanted to say in the section of minuses of this Steam page. Besides that, it's quite cool. Let's switch back to the presentation. I didn't show that, but I scrolled through social media of Jupiter Moons, and I found several funny things there. Like, for instance, a Twitter account almost never posted anything about the game in a few weeks or so, and it consists mostly of retweets of other accounts, and it's not very good. Try to post more original content, because people will start to unsubscribe if they continuously see only retweets of some other stuff that is not the game, and it's not what they're following. Also, Reddit is a little bit dead at the moment, and here I'd like to say that no Reddit is better than a dead one. So you don't need to be everywhere if you cannot keep up with the pace, if you cannot find the time to produce all the content, and it's okay. Just maybe delete the accounts or start posting there at least once a month. That would be nice. And about the game, I've played it and I liked it quite a lot. Let me show you the game. Oh, and by the way, I really like the menu screen you can see right now. I like the cards pierced with a bullet. It's really nice little detail, and also the art style is so beautiful. And take a look at the bottom left corner. You'll see this little menu with all the links and a call to action to wishlist the game. It's cool to have such a thing in a demo when you have a game on Steam. But what I wanted to talk about is about the positioning of the game. Because right now it feels like Jupiter Moons needs to go an extra mile to stand out from the crowd. Although it has such a beautiful art style and a unique for deck builders theme of mechas, I think it's not mecha enough. Why? For instance, we know nothing about the pilot controlling the machine. We know very little of how to work with body parts. So what we actually do in the game right now is that we get some ammunition, we get some new tool, we place it in those little squares, and then we forget about it until this body part gets broken at some point in the game. And it's more of a irritating, because all these things that could be very unique for this game make it stand out from other deck builders. They work only as punishing tools. Like those body parts, they get destroyed and you can no longer use the cards associated with equipment placed in that body part of your mecha. You still get those cards, but they're gray and you can no longer use them. And it's a bad thing, I believe, because once you get damaged, you're very limited in your options. Maybe it's a part of the hardcore description of the game, but that's a bad hardcore, because you cannot go through it and then win and then get rid of those debuffs. That would be a proper way to do it. But right now in Jupiter Moons, you get some of the body part destroyed, and then it's very hard to win that battle, and it leads to more and more and more body parts destroyed and no chances to win at all. I believe it's not the way how it should be, but of course I'm not a professional in this field. Also, the overhit mechanic, the concept of it is really cool, and it's nice that we can use this overhit against our enemies. But when I played through 40 minutes of the demo, it was very hard to cause overhit for my enemies, but it was very effective against myself. And you need around 70% of overhit to start getting debuffs, and when it gets to 100, you're dead. So you get what I mean. All those things, they're used as punishing tools against the player, and there's very little usage of these same things against enemies. Like, for instance, we cannot target a specific body part of our enemy. that body part could be like a pilot's cabin, for instance, and if we decide to destroy it and we focus solely on that pilot's cabin, maybe that would cause to the defeat of the whole robot, of the whole enemy. But no, unfortunately, we can only shoot in that direction, and then the damage gets distributed randomly. So for instance, if we're looking at this mech on the screen, maybe we wanted to target the torso part, because we guess that this is where the pilot is. We destroy the pilot, we destroy the enemy. Unfortunately, no. We don't have such a thing in the current demo. So all those things that make this theme unique and could make the game unique, they aren't working well. And also, game is already pitched as an adventure. That is, there's very little adventure part in it. We don't have the main character. We have no change in his history, no change in the world. So it cannot be an adventure if nothing changes. It's just one battle after another. So maybe it's just too early to call it an adventure and pitch it like this. Sometimes it leads to wrong first impression, and it's a bad thing, of course. And one other thing that I want to mention here is the way how new cards get placed in your hand. So every new turn you get a small number of cards, but when the turn ends, you cannot save some of them for later. They all get discarded, and then you get another set of random cards. Of course, you can say that they're not purely random because you know what's in your deck, and you can think what's going to be next and adapt your strategy according to it. But I've had example of working on a game called A Long Way Down. It was published by Goblins. I mentioned them before. And they had a very similar mechanic there. And when the game got released, and we didn't know about it before the release, every negative comment had a few sentences about this mechanic of a random hand every turn. The fans of deck builders, they don't like it when they cannot control the randomness. You see? So a game should be a poker in some way, because there you will see a good balance of random and strategic. And of course, there you can save some of the cards for later to make a line of good cards and win like this. Unfortunately, in Jupiter Mons, you cannot save the cards, and it's bad. Okay, and that leads us to the ideas and suggestions part of the presentation. You see, Jupiter Mons needs to stand out from other deck builders with its strong mecha theme, and it needs to stand out more than it does now. Bear in mind that, again, I'm not a professional in game design, but my suggestions here will be helpful for marketing as well, and I just hope that your project will benefit from it. In which way? That could be, like, for instance, if we show more about the interaction of the pilot with the mecha, showing more human and the differences between the human and the robot, and how this pilot, the specialist, operates this war machine and makes it obey. You see, it's a very epic stuff. It sounds cool and it's sketchy. This can be showed in a trailer, and that would be breathtaking to then buy the game, play the game, and feel yourself as if you are that pilot. Because right now we see this pilot's cabin in the game, but we don't really build up the anticipation. That's why it doesn't feel that awesome to play this game and associate yourself with the pilot in the mecha. And one way that I can imagine of how to make it more impressive is by showing the size of the mecha you're in. Maybe that will be in an intro, some short animation showing a very small human in a very big robot, or in a trailer, or some other way from the menus. As right now, by just looking at the game, at the screenshots and the videos, you won't understand who are these enemies. Are they simple little robots somewhere in the desert? Or what is it? See? So by properly conveying a message that this is a mecha game, it will benefit the marketing because it will be more interesting and catchy for people to buy the game and start playing. And also I would like to see the game showcasing more of the controlling of the mecha parts. So I would like to see the game featuring this little additional ideas of overheating body parts, some tools installment, equipment, improving pilot skills, and so on, rather than being solely about the cards you get from the deck and then placing them on the enemies so that they kind of receive damage. Because right now it is represented like this. You're just playing in another card game, another Slay the Spire reskinned for all these mecha robots or whatever. It's boring. So if you can make bigger emphasis on what makes your game unique, you'll benefit from it. Another idea on how you can do that is probably by improving the overview, not of only your parts, but also your enemies. For instance, that could be scanning your enemy to find where is the pilot's cabin, where is the pilot hiding. So you could then aim directly at that body part of your enemy mech and kill, sort of defeat the antagonist quicker. That would be more unique towards this idea of improving the mecha theme and the mecha feel. What else? Here I want to say that card battles and deck builders is a very packed niche, but it's not a bad thing if you think about it. Like all those competitors building communities around them, because when you're using, for instance, a targeted advertisement in social media, it actually helps you that other games like yours have communities built around them and some user base around them. because it will make your targeted advertisement cheaper and more effective. Again, I will repeat this idea. No Reddit is better than a dead Reddit. So don't stress yourself if you have no time to create content often. You can delete the account or just try to post at least once a month. First impression matters, and it's bad when Reddit is dead or other social media platform. And another thing about how the games are currently marketed, I will have to repeat that you need to add the adventure element as soon as possible, because right now the game is purely a mechanic only game. It's only about the cards. And nowadays you need a story to sell your game. Yeah, try to imagine some sort of character. Maybe that could be a pilot that is in the cabin from where we see our enemies. You will need this main character to add some motivation for him or her and give a final goal that will try to reach throughout these roguelike stages of the game. Yeah. And probably one of the most important parts of this marketing review is the part of questions from the dev. What would be the best strategy to market a deck building game? What are the paid assets, organic social media? What would be streamers? So I believe the developer asks which of these instruments they need to use. I don't quite understand what is the paid asset, but I will say to you that the most important paid asset for you would be experienced partners, partners experienced in marketing, someone like a regional specialist who would guide you through marketing an indie game in France, for instance, or there could be a PR agency. There are many of them, and try to get in contact with them and ask what they're providing, because I know that when you're releasing a game for the first time, and if I'm not mistaken, this is your first game released, it is very important to have someone experienced to lend a hand for you. And marketing is quite hard, especially for the developers. I know that some indie devs, they sort of haste for some reason, and they try to release the game as early as possible, and they are left with no room for marketing. And my suggestion would also be to allocate 2 or 3 months before the game's release, just finish the game until a stage where you feel like it's okay now, because I know it will never be perfect. And then allocate a couple of months to just prepare for the release, collect emails of streamers that make content about games like yours, or variety streamers, and make it a big list, collect their emails, collect their contacts via social media, and just write to them. Introduce yourself, say, hey, we're an indie development studio, we don't have much money, sorry, we would love to make it a paid deal, but we can propose you to take a look at our new game, plus add a trailer, pitch of the game, a press kit, and maybe that's enough. make an emphasis that you can give them and something exclusive if they decide to cover your game. It's especially important for big YouTubers and streamers to give them some exclusivity. And don't forget to write to them several times. If you think that they don't reply, just make a follow-up. So that will be just a brief strategy for you. Regarding organic social media, as I said, don't need to stress yourself. If you feel like you don't have enough time, don't do it. Just stick to just one thing, maybe just Twitter or just Discord. Discord is a very powerful tool and it will help you a lot to handle beta tests and stuff like that. So I hope I've replied to your question. And of course, you'll have my contacts. And if you have some questions, something that I didn't cover in this marketing review, please write an email to me. And I think we're out of time. So I hope it was helpful and see you later. Thank you and goodbye.